And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe on the way in the door, my people. I hope you all are having a truly fantastic day today on this Fanboy Friday. Fanboys, we hope your day is going terrible. Otherwise, we don't care how your day is going. But you see the title of the video. So today I want to talk a little bit about LeBron James rewriting the history and the standards of the NBA. Because this is what has happened during LeBron James' so far 21-year career. He has totally destroyed the standards of the game, and he has made an attempt to rewrite history. But then again, it's just basketball. Now, appropriately, to me, that would be a great way to describe today's modern NBA. It is just basketball. Because for me, when I think about basketball, I know a lot of you younger fans don't understand. And definitely you fanboys, I think not only do you not understand, but I don't think you're capable of understanding, because you probably have the IQ of your king, which is overrated and not great like they say, like they try to claim it is. But I know a lot of the younger generation probably have a hard time understanding why the older generation may get so bent out of shape about the current state of the NBA. And I think that It's Just Basketball quote sums it up. You know, the face of the league, your king, fanboys, LeBron James, after a loss, it's just basketball. And here's the thing about when we used to watch the NBA in the 90s, goes without saying the 80s and before then, in the early 2000s. It is more than just basketball. There used to be a certain seriousness that the players took the game, that the players' approach to the game was based off of. There was a certain seriousness. If you go back and watch older games on the NBA, if you go back and watch games from the 90s and 80s, there's a certain seriousness in the atmosphere, like that goes beyond competition. Sports, yes, at the end of the day, is just entertainment. And I've talked about how you've heard Michael Jordan say similar things. But first of all, it never came after a loss. And secondly, it was just about understanding entertainment in general, right, in the context of life. Like, in the context of life, entertainment is not the most important thing, right? There's plenty of things more important than entertainment, such as family, you know, taking care of your family, your loved ones, such as trying to be a good human as much as possible, such as trying to contribute meaningful things to your existence on this earth. There, you know, and there are much more serious issues that we have to deal with besides sports. You know, we got poverty, we got hunger, we got crime, we got so many things, right, that are serious issues when compared to sports. However, the seriousness of sports comes in from this standpoint. First of all, you are getting paid lots of money to do what you love, where most people will never get that opportunity. Most people in life will not get the opportunity to, let alone get paid for what they love to do, but let alone actually make a lot of money doing what they love to do. That is a privilege to be able to do that. To be able to make money from what you are passionate about is a privilege. Most people simply have to work jobs that they don't necessarily love to sustain a living. And some of them, people are getting paid a lot of money, but it's still jobs that they are doing simply for the money and they're not passionate about. So sports is a chance to make lots of money, getting paid what you are passionate about, and in return for that privilege, you should be doing your utmost to show your gratitude for the ability to do that. Now, for the fans, sports is important. Why? For a lot of reasons. Because you can learn a lot from sports. How you approach sports can teach you a lot about how you should be approaching life, about dealing with adversity, about teamwork, you know. So for the fans, and then for the fans, it is also an escape from life. You know, for that few hours that sports is on, you get to escape from that job that you may not want to work. You get to escape from life's problems. And so, yeah, sports in that sense is important. It's important to life because it allows people to escape. Now, the fans who support these teams, who spend their money on these teams, buying jerseys, buying cable packages so that they can watch the games, saving up money to attend games. The fans are the sole reason that these players can make as much money as they do while supposedly playing a sport that they supposedly love and are passionate about. So in that sense, it is very serious. It is serious to the fans, so it should be serious to the players. And it should be, the players should feel obligated to deliver their all under these circumstances. Well, LeBron James has changed all of that. LeBron James has changed it to where the players are simply looking out for themselves. The players are looking out for themselves with not much regard for the fans at all. The players think that it is all about them. The players think that it is a privilege that the fans get to watch them, when really it is the other way around. These players are privileged to be able to have a job because of the fans, to have a job making millions of dollars. Again, LeBron James has changed this dynamic to where we have all these entitled players running around thinking that, but it's kind of human nature. It's taken for granted something that can be taken away. Like, you assume the NBA is going to be here always and forever when, again, it's kind of just like when the pandemic hit. I'm sure nobody in this lifetime would have thought that we would experience that in our lifetime. But you don't experience it until it happens. So this is one way that LeBron James has changed the standard of the NBA. He has changed the standard of understanding that it is the fans who keep you employed. So yes, you should take the game seriously on behalf of the fans that support you. LeBron James, you should take it even more seriously considering you have a legion of blind fanboys who follow you and make excuses for you for all that you do. Another way that LeBron James has changed the standard of the NBA is that when you are working a job, you get paid according to what you can do for the company. In sports, when a team signs you for a lot of money, this is based off your ability to help them win basketball games, not just getting paid because you have good capabilities. Your capabilities, if they're not translating to wins, then you shouldn't be making that amount of money, period. You shouldn't be making a lot of money just because you can jump high, just because you're fast, just because you're bigger than the average person at your position. The money should be coming based off of you actually being able to translate that to wins. So again, but this whole thing goes back into the entitled thing. It goes back into LeBron James has made all of these players feel entitled, and this is on the NBA as well, because the NBA started giving these stars too much money too soon instead of making them earn it. Another way in which LeBron James has changed the standard, and that is in the rewriting of history. I don't ever recall in the 90s, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but in the 90s growing up, despite the explosion of Michael Jordan, despite the fact that this was Jordan's era, and again, I don't care what decade of basketball you were from, and I really don't care what decade of basketball you actually think the best. One thing that is undisputable is that basketball was at the height of popularity in the 90s. Like what Jordan did for the game of basketball is unmatched. Again, I've said this several times, but it has to be repeated so the younger generation can understand that in the 90s, every basketball was part of the culture. It wasn't just a side note. Basketball was literally woven into the culture of America. It was in hip hop, it was in movies, it was in TV shows. Again, if you were a young person in that time, everyone was wearing jerseys. It didn't matter if you were black or white, like everyone was wearing jerseys. And because that explosion of the Michael Jordan era, everyone was wearing basketball jerseys of their favorite player. Again, the Jordan jersey is the most sold jersey to date, but that made it popular that, you know, you would see football jerseys, you would see hockey jerseys, but jerseys were part of the culture. Again, basketball was being played everywhere all the time. Whether you were a serious basketball player or not, you wanted to play basketball back in the 90s. So again, it doesn't matter which era that decade of basketball you think was the best. You know, that is debatable, but what is not debatable is that the 90s, the explosion of basketball was unmatched by any other decade, period. So I don't recall in the 90s people diminishing other eras of basketball. This is something new that has taken place in the LeBron James era. Is this willingness, and not only is a willingness, but it's a deliberate attempt to diminish previous eras so that they can try to prop up this era of basketball and thus prop up LeBron James. In the 90s, whether you thought Michael Jordan was the GOAT or not, and again, by Michael Jordan's second championship, I think it was pretty consensus that he was the GOAT by most people. But whether you thought Michael Jordan was the GOAT or not, if you still had Magic or Bird, or if you had Kareem or Wilt or any of these guys, I don't remember people propping up Michael Jordan by diminishing the previous generations. You know, I don't remember people talking about the 70s and 60s were plumbers. You know, I don't remember that being a talking point to try to boost up Michael Jordan. It was simply just about how great Michael Jordan was, period. That's what it was about. This new way of talking about basketball is a result of the LeBron James. And again, it's partly LeBron James' fault. It is partly the NBA's fault, because they have been trying to create greatness instead of let greatness happen. And part of this, you know, I'm not going to say it's Michael Jordan's fault, but it is a result of Michael Jordan, because Michael Jordan took sports to such a high that the NBA has been trying to replace that ever since, and they just can't. You can't manufacture that greatness that Michael Jordan was. You can't create it. You can't convince people of it. Like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Again, with Michael Jordan, before he set foot into the NBA, people were already saying, like, this is the best basketball player we have ever seen. Now, I think it's a difference between being the best basketball player and the greatest. I think greatness is associated with winning. But I don't think it necessarily has to be that you win a bunch of championships to have that greatness. Again, because Michael Jordan was seen as the GOAT by his second championship. But why is that? Because he was already seen as the best basketball player. And again, this is why the eye test is such an important thing. The eye test is such an important thing because you can look at the stats, you can listen to what the media tells you, but at the end of the day, your eyes will not lie to you. At the end of the day, what you see is what you can believe. And this is why I say, if you really, to me, a simple test you can have for the GOAT right now is going and watching these younger kids do reaction videos to the different candidates of who they say the GOAT is. Again, for you Kobe fans, I know it's some diehard Kobe fans, and I love Kobe Bryant. I am a Kobe Bryant fan. But again, all you got to do is go watch some of these younger kids do reaction videos to these different. When they react to LeBron, of course, first of all, they're from this generation. They've heard all the narratives about LeBron. They're going to think he's great. But when they do a reaction to Michael Jordan, again, you hear the same thing consistently over and over. And that is disbelief that a human being could do what Michael Jordan did, could play basketball like that. It's a disbelief that someone was that competitive and on 10 all the time. Michael Jordan was on 10 all the time until you pissed him off, and then he was like on 12. But these kids can't believe their eyes. You constantly hear them talk about, was he a human? And again, this is why, to me, I love Kobe. But when you watch Kobe Bryant highlights, yes, you're going to be amazed. And these kids are amazed by Kobe highlights. But it's not the same reaction as when they watch Michael Jordan highlights. When they watch Larry Bird highlights, they're amazed. But it's not the same reaction as when they watch Michael Jordan highlights. But back to my point is that during the 90s, when I was growing up, I never heard this talk about we're now diminishing Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and Dr. J and Kareem and Oscar Robertson and West and all these people and Russell and Wilt. We weren't diminishing all these people to make the case for Michael Jordan. You simply just had to look and be like, man, this is the most amazing player I have ever seen, but it's no knock to players of the past. It's not a knock on them. But with the LeBron James era ushered in this whole new thing about, okay, now how can we find a way to say that LeBron James is as great as we've been telling people? Because he hadn't proved it in winning. He's made super teams, so that's a knock against him. He flops, which a lot of people ignore the flopping. The flopping is a huge deal for me. The flopping is a deal breaker for me. For a superstar, again, this is one thing when you're talking about Vlade Divac. It's one thing when you're talking about players who, they're never going to be remembered as a top 50 player. But when you're talking about someone who's supposed to be in the GOAT conversation, when you're talking about someone who most people want to say is top 5 or even top 10, to me the flopping is inexcusable because it is cheating. And so what you're telling me is that you are actually not as good as people say you are because you need to cheat to find a way to win. Because if you were that guy, you wouldn't have to do that. If your skills and your game dictated that you were as great as everyone in the media is trying to say you are, you would not have to flop. You wouldn't want to flop. Again, the stories about Michael Jordan were trash talking, was that he wanted you to be at your best so that he could say he beat you at your best. Like, I don't need a cheat code to beat you. I don't need to trick the refs into beating you. Like in basketball, there's going to be missed calls. In basketball, we know that there were referee scandals, of the refs actually cheating the game. But you as a player, your mindset should always be, I'm good enough to overcome all of these odds. We know that, yes, superstars generally get more calls. But again, to me, my opinion on why superstars get more calls, and yeah, I'm sure the league has a vested interest in that as well for the sake of the game. But I also believe that generally superstars get more calls, though, because superstars are the one who are setting the tone of the game. And generally, when you see someone working hard, you are more apt to lean in their favor. When you see someone giving the ultimate hustle on the court, you are more, I think it is human nature to want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, so like I said, I think LeBron James, his era is the one which we started diminishing eras of the past to try to prop up these false narratives. Not only to prop up LeBron James, but we also have to try to prop up this current NBA and talking about is more skilled and all this. Why? Because why do we do that? Because it will make LeBron look better despite having more losses. If you say, oh, well, but he was facing these players who were just so skilled. He was facing the Celtics big three. And if you try to boost up his competition level, then you can try to make an excuse for why, oh, well, of course he didn't lose. Or of course he lost. Of course he has more losses because he was facing stiffer competition. Well, even if you want to say that, my argument is this. If it's LeBron James is actually better than Michael Jordan, that still shouldn't be a problem. If he's actually better than Michael Jordan, that wouldn't be a problem. Because the thing about LeBron James is he has lost even when he had the clear advantage. Michael Jordan never lost when he had the advantage. And again, the more I go back and look at most of these teams, I would argue that most of the teams that Michael Jordan beat in the finals were actually more talented teams, with the exception that Chicago had Michael Jordan. Definitely during the first three-peat. I believe the Lakers were overall a more talented team. When you're talking about AC Green and Worthy being on those teams, and who is it? Tony Smith and Teagle and Eldon Campbell and Divock and all. I believe that the Lakers team was overall more talented. I believe those 92 Blazers were overall more talented than the Chicago team. And definitely the Phoenix Suns were overall more talented than that Chicago team. Now, during the second three-peat, you could argue it was more even, just because I think the addition of Dennis Rodman, even though he wasn't a scorer, he was a championship-minded individual. And what I mean by that is you could count on Dennis Rodman to go out there and give you his all. He understood what it was like to be a champion. And not only that, but he respected Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. So you could count on Dennis Rodman to be poised, to go out there and do his job 100%. By 97, he had started kind of declining. By 98, you could see a difference in Rodman for sure. But again, that just showed the greatness of Michael Jordan to really be able to carry a team. Because in 98, he carried that team through the finals. But yeah, so there's a case to be made that most of the teams Michael Jordan faced were more talented than the Chicago Bulls. But as Stephen A. Smith says, they didn't have MJ. Another thing LeBron James tried to rewrite is the notion of a dynasty. This is one thing that's completely ridiculous. So you fanboys like to say LeBron James is the dynasty because he won with 3 different teams. Well, here's my rebuttal to that. If LeBron James was actually a dynasty, he would have won with all the coaches that he's had. If LeBron James himself was actually the dynasty, he would have won with all the coaches that he's had. But here's the thing. You're trying to rewrite what a dynasty is because this is the reality of a real dynasty. Dynasties are built. They're not given. Dynasties are built. They are not given. They are not made. You can't, especially as a player. Again, this is the problem. This is another thing that people don't want to address about the LeBron James era, is that with great power comes responsibility. And what power has LeBron James had for pretty much all of his career? He's had the power of choice. LeBron James has had the power of choice. He has chosen coaches, players, where he has played at, and with all of these choices, he's only turned it into 4 championships. With all of these choices, he's lost 6 times in the finals. That matters. With all of the choices look what's about to happen. It really looks like JJ Redick is about to be hired for the Lakers. Now, for someone whose whole career has been based on he doesn't have Hall of Fame coaches and all of these excuses, now you're about to hire your podcast partner. So what's your excuse now? Again, this is another choice you are making. It's to hire your podcast partner. It's the only thing JJ Redick is good for, is podcasting. And he's not good for that. So what's going to be the excuse? And this is exactly what we are talking about. LeBron James has had the power of choice for most of his career. So fanboys, please tell me, what's the excuse when LeBron James has had the power of choice more than previous decades of basketball? What's the excuse? You can't have the choice and excuses. Which you can't. A real leader doesn't have the excuses, period. And this video is getting long, but there's a couple of more things I want to talk about. The living up to expectations narrative. This, LeBron James, has been the first time that I can think of. Again, if anybody remembers in the comments, please put it in there. LeBron James, in this whole he's exceeded all expectations narrative as a way to boost his legacy, that is the first time we've done this in the NBA. And what I mean by that is, when I go back and watch some of the older Michael Jordan videos, there was a lot of narratives around Michael Jordan about the pressure that he was under. You would hear a lot of things that they said about LeBron James, they were saying about Michael Jordan, about how this is so much pressure for, number one, because Chicago Bulls was attempting to do something that hadn't been done, which was build their franchise around a 2-guard. Again, this was against conventional wisdom. So that was part of one of the things that were being talked about, is that Chicago was like putting all their hopes on this 2-guard who everyone was saying, look, you cannot win championships with your team built around the 2-guard. So there was a lot of talk about the pressure, how much pressure was on Michael Jordan. But again, I've talked about that. Everything in life is perception, how you perceive what is going on. Michael Jordan perceived pressure as, hey, well, if they think I'm gonna fail, then if I do that, I've only done what they thought I was gonna do, right? No big deal. So pretty much it is nowhere to go but up. But here's the thing, with Michael Jordan and every other athlete in history, yes, you can have pressure coming into the league, but your ability to overcome the pressure isn't what adds on to your legacy. What adds on to your legacy is still about what you actually accomplish. That's what matters. It's like, great, okay, people thought LeBron James was going to fail, if that's what you want to say, and great that he didn't. But at the end of the day, when you start comparing him to the greats, the only thing that matters is what did he actually do, not what did he do considering the amount of pressure he had. Who cares? That's like saying, let me give you an example. Let's say you own a car lot. Let's say you own a car lot and you are in competition with the other car lots, and there is a salesman at another car lot that, I don't know, I'm gonna make it, I don't know what, I don't know that business in detail, so I'm gonna make something up. Let's say this car salesman at the other car lot, he set the record for car sales in a year at 10,000 sales. And so now you have a competing car lot who says, hey, I'm trying to break that 10,000 sales record. I'm hiring this guy, this young guy who's fresh out of high school, who everyone says is the greatest car salesman they've seen. And I'm going to hire him to try to break that 10,000 record. So you hire this guy, everybody's talking about how much pressure is on this kid fresh out of high school to break the record of 10,000 sales in a year. This is what he's hired to do. So you hire him, you're paying him more money than anybody in the history of car sales to try and break this record because you want to be the #1 car lot, right? So everybody's talking about the pressure on this kid, and at the end of the year, this kid has only sold 5,000 cars, which is still good. 5,000 cars is great. He sold that in a year. But guess what? He still didn't break that record. And you can't base it off, oh, well, the kid has so much pressure coming in, but hey, he sold 5,000 cars. It's like, no, he was hired to break the record of 10,000 cars. So the amount of pressure of what he got done because of the amount of pressure he had is irrelevant. It's, did you do it or did you not? It's that simple. So in terms of the GOAT debate, when people keep talking about the amount of pressure LeBron James has had and what he's done despite the pressure, that is completely irrelevant, fanboys. Completely irrelevant. Is what he did better than Michael Jordan? Absolutely not. And you know, that's in terms of the GOAT debate. But like I said, LeBron James is not top 10. He's not a top 10 player based on how he has operated in the game of basketball. It has been all shortcuts and cheating the game. So yeah, this is another thing that in which LeBron James and the media has tried to change the standard for which we've always judged basketball. It's always based on what you do, not based on what you get done for the amount of pressure that you had on you when you came into the league. It's completely ridiculous. And last but not least, yeah, fanboys, go ahead and get in your feelings. The longevity argument, which we have talked about this and debunked this a million times, but so I'm gonna keep this part short. Again, changing the standards. We have never made longevity such a huge factor in considering who is the greatest of all time. Longevity is its own category, but forget that part. Let's just talk about LeBron James' longevity. First of all, to me, longevity only matters when you are still doing something relevant. LeBron James is putting up empty stats, but even more so than that, the reason LeBron James' longevity is highly overrated is because LeBron James does not play both ends of the court like he did. So he is severely, he's never been a great defender, but his defense is even, it's deplorable, and it's been deplorable for years now. So his longevity argument is overrated because, number one, he does everything he can to conserve energy. Number two, he doesn't play all 82 games by far. He only has one 82-game season. What good is longevity when you keep missing work? What good is longevity when you keep missing work? It's really that simple. How can you give someone credit for the longevity when they have done everything in their power to minimize the effort that they put out? You know, your longevity, considering Michael Jordan's played 15 years pretty much with his motor on 10 at all times. And LeBron James has played 21 years with his motor on 5. Even in his earlier days, his motor wasn't on 10, not like Michael Jordan. This is why I think the Anthony Edwards comparisons to Michael Jordan is not valid. Again, Michael Jordan's motor was on, when Michael Jordan was that young, his motor was on 10 all the time. LeBron James has never at any point in his career exerted on a consistent basis the kind of energy that Michael Jordan exerted on a nightly basis. LeBron James has never ever done that. I know it hurts to hear, fanboys. I know it hurts your feelings. I hope it hurts your feelings. But LeBron James has never played with the energy that Michael Jordan has played with. So what are you getting credit for? LeBron James has never consistently played with the energy of a Larry Bird, of a Magic Johnson, of a Kobe Bryant, of any of the greats to me in the top 10. LeBron James has been on cruise control since he left Miami. Again, LeBron James hasn't made a defensive team since he left Miami, fanboys. What do you have to say for yourself? I know. I know what you got to say. I'm a hater. I know. I get it. I get it. That's the only thing that you can come back with. But, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, this video has went on way longer than I anticipated. But I just thought we needed to talk about what LeBron James has really done to the NBA. And that is, you know, or what things have changed since LeBron James has come into the NBA. And that is the rewriting of history and the rewriting of standards. This is what he has done. This is his legacy in the NBA. And again, I have to say it's not just him. It's the NBA has allowed this. And now that Commissioner Baltimore, you know, his contract has been extended. You know, we have more years of this to look forward to. So, you know, I don't think there's really any relief anytime soon coming for those who missed the days when the NBA was taken very seriously. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What do you think about LeBron James and the NBA rewriting history and the standards in an attempt to not only prop up LeBron James, but to prop up the modern NBA? And again, like I said, I think them propping up the modern NBA is for two reasons. It's because, you know, they want people to believe that the NBA is still progressing, and because it was also an attempt to try to excuse LeBron James' failures by talking about his level of competition. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. You all have a truly, truly fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. All right.